Hello and welcome to Clear Concept CSE. Today we are starting with chapter 3, the Vedic Age. So let us start. The Harappan culture was followed by another great civilization and culture known as the Vedic culture. इसको वैदिक एज इसलिए कहा जाता है क्योंकि इसकी रिकंस्ट्रक्शन प्राइमरली वैदिक टेक्स्ट एज सोर्सेस पे बेस्ड थी. The Indo-Aryans are believed to be the composers of Vedic texts. The term Indo-Aryans is basically a linguistic term and refers to speakers of a subgroup of the Indo-Iranian branch of the Indo-European family of languages. The Rig Veda composers describe themselves as Arya, that means Ar, meaning to cultivate, literally meaning kinsman or a companion. In Sanskrit, it implied men of good family or noble family, and according to many sources, it also implied to be superior than others. There are many theories regarding the same. The first one is the European theory by Sir William Jones in 1786, Giles and Henry Schroeder, and many more. Continent of Europe is the homeland of Aryans. On the basis of comparative linguistics of the Indo-European family of languages, we find certain structural similarities. For example, Sanskrit words matri and pitri are similar to Latin matter and pater. Similarly, all the other words are also similar. The Indo-Aryans came to India from Eurasia. They were semi-nomadic people and came from the plains of Eastern Europe, especially the area north of the Black Sea. Next up is the Central Asian theory by Max Muller. Central Asia is the homeland of the Aryans. With the comparative study of the Avesta, the Iranian text, and the Vedas, one finds striking linguistic relationship between them of not just words, but of concepts as well. The interchangeability between H and S and incredible consistency in this change as Hepta Hindu or Sapta Sindhu also proves the same. Coming to the Arctic region theory by Dr. Bal Gangadhar Tilak, the homeland is the northern Arctic region. As the Vedas speak about 6 months each of long days and long nights, which happens only in the Arctic region. The Tibet theory was given by Dayanand Saraswati. It is the original home of Aryans with reference to the Vedas and other Aryan texts. The Indian theory given by Dr. Sampurnanand and others refers to the indigenousness of the subcontinent and many literary evidences in the Vedas that the Aryans regarded the Sapta-Sindhu as their original home. Sanskrit, more than any other European language, contains the largest number of original Indo-European vocables. It also had a greater contact with the parent language of the Aryans than any other European language. The sacrificial rituals of the Vedic Aryans point to their Indian origin. The earliest Aryans lived in the land of the Sindhu. Sindhu is the river par excellence of the Aryans. The region was drained by the seven rivers. You can note all of these rivers and also note the five tributaries. They are very important for the prelims perspective of any government exam. इसके बाद आते हैं ऋग वैदिक कल्चर पर. इसका टाइमलाइन है 1500 to 1000 BCE. This is also called the early Vedic civilization. This literature includes the Rig Veda Samhita and other texts of the family. They are called family books as their composition is attributed to the families of certain seer poets such as Vishwamitra, Atri, etc. Later Vedic literature from 1000 to 500 BCE includes books 1, 8, 9, and 10 of the Rig Veda Samhita, the Samhitas of the Sam Veda, the Yajur and Atharva Veda, and the Brahmanas, Aranyaks, and Upanishads attached to all the four Vedas. The word Veda has been derived from the root vid, which means to know or knowledge. They hold the status of Shruti, which has been heard and have been transmitted orally for many centuries. There are four Vedas. As mentioned, you can note all of them. वैदिक लिटरेचर में सबसे पहले आती है ऋग वेदा. It is a collection of 1028 hymns divided into 10 mandals or books. They are the earliest compositions and hence they depict the life of early Vedic people in India. It has been included by the UNESCO in the list of literature signifying World Human Heritage. Earliest mandals, 2nd to 7th, are called family books. They are ascribed to particular families of rishis. Mandal 8 is the Kanvas family, Mandal 9 is the Soma hymns, Mandal 1 and 10 are the later editions. उसके बाद सामवेद आता है. Samved is a collection of verses mostly taken from the Rig Veda, but arranged in a poetic form to facilitate singing. It is a collection of 1810 melodies and also contains the famous Dhrupad Rag, later sung by Tansen. The Upved of Samved is called the Gandharv Ved. Next up is Yajurved. Yajurved deals with the procedure of performance of sacrifices. The texts are further divided into white Yajurved and black Yajurved. The Upved of the Yajurved is the Dhanurved. Next is the Atharvaved. Atharvaved is a collection of magic spells and charms to ward off the evil spirits and diseases. It is the last Ved and is considered a non-Aryan work, divided into 20 kandas or books with 711 hymns. It contains the Gopad Brahman. The Upved of Atharvaved is the Shilpa Ved. Coming to the Brahmanas describe the rules for the performance of sacrificial ceremonies. The most important Brahmana is the Satpad Brahman. It is a text which is attached to the Yajurved and is the most exhaustive. It recommends 100 sacred paths. After that comes the Aranyakas. They are called the forest books as they were written by mainly by hermits living in the jungles with their pupils. They deal with mysticism and philosophy and oppose sacrifice. They focus on meditation and are considered to be the concluding portion of the Brahmanas. They interpret rituals in a philosophical way. Upanishads. The literal meaning of Upanishad is to sit near someone. There are 108 Upanishads, of which only 13 are the most prominent. They focus on the Atman and Brahman and focus a lot on the philosophy about life, universe, body, sacrifice, etc. They focus upon the knowledge of the self or Atman should be acquired and understood, that the relation of the Atman is with the Brahman. The Mandukya Upanishad includes the famous Satyamev Jayate and it is the largest of all Upanishads. The Chandogya Upanishad clearly refers to the first three ashrams and discusses the type of the marriage, mainly two. Please note all of them down. Puranas. The word Puranas literally means old. They were the religious sectarian literature of later times, around 4th to 6th centuries, but have a well defined perception of the past traditions. They reflect the Brahmanical social and religious values and also shed light on the emergence and development of Hindu religious practices. The Puranas are considered to be composed by Ved Vyas, and it is commonly accepted by the four yugas make up a Mahayuga and thousand Mahayugas make a Kalpa. Then every kalpa is further divided into 14 manvantaras, which are presided over by a specific Manu. Each yuga is periodically destroyed again and again, and the recreation of the world occurs with a cyclical decline and revival of dharma. 18 महापुराण है और काफ़ी सारे उप पुराण भी है सेकेंडरी पुराणास मेक श्योर टू नोट एवरी सिंगल वन ऑफ देम Dharmashastra. They are the Sanskrit texts dealing specifically with the dharma or code of conduct. Dharma also refers to the fulfillment of purusharth, such as dharma, arth, kam, moksha. Dharmashastras are further subdivided into Dharma Sutras and Smritis. They recognize the sources of dharma, namely the Vedas, Smriti, and texts, and Shishtachar. The four ashrams dividing the life of a male Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. It should be noted that the different ashram stages were not followed in a particular order and were not even applicable to women or Shudras. Two Sanskrit epics, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, are part of both oral and written traditional history. The two epics were clearly aware of each other, as the Mahabharata has a section called Ramopakhyan, detailing the story of Lord Ram. And the Ramayana mentions the Kurus and Hastinapur but does not mention the Mahabharata war. Coming to Mahabharata, composed between 400 to 400 BCE to 400 CE, Mahabharata is said to be composed by Vedvyas. It consists of 18 parvas and has around 1 lakh verses. It is considerably longer than Ramayana. The war is believed to have happened in the Dwapar Yuga. Coming to Ramayana, roughly composed between 400 BCE to 400 CE, Ramayana is considered as the Adi Kavya, first conscious poetry, composed by Valmiki, and it consists of seven kandas or books having around 24,000 verses. It is much shorter than the Mahabharata despite later editions. Traditionally, it is considered that Rama lived in the Treta Yuga, which is earlier than the Mahabharata. The Rig Vedic society was a tribal society and its people lived a semi nomadic life. The Aryan tribes were social life of Rig Vedic Aryans. The Aryan tribes were called Janas. Their chief or Rajan was called Gopati or Gopa, and the chief queen was called the Mahisi. They often had conflicts with the Panis, who used to hide their cattle in the forest, and they were deemed as enemies of Aryans. In order to get their cattle back, the Vedic god Indra was invoked, and many battles known as Gavashti, Gavashena, Goshu, or Gavyat were fought between the Aryans and the Panis. सोसाइटी का पॉलिटिकल स्ट्रक्चर भी मोनार्कियल फॉर्म से सिमिलर था, लेकिन गोपति का ऑफिस हेरिडिटरी नहीं था. ही वॉज सिलेक्टेड अमंग द क्लैन. The society was not divided on caste lines, and even the Rajans, Purohits, artisans were part of the clan networks. जहाँ तक कि इकोनॉमी की बात की जाए तो ऋग्वेदिक society was a pastoral economy. Cattle rearing was the dominant activity. The measure of wealth was cattle, and a wealthy man was known as gomat. ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स का एविडेंस बहुत छोटा है, एंड देयर वाज नो कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी बैक देन. जो करेंसी थी उसको बोलते थे निष्खा, which was made of gold. Barter system उस टाइम बहुत वैल्यू में था. There was no regular revenue system, and the kingdom was maintained by the voluntary tribute or bali of subjects and bounty won in the battle. गिफ्ट एक्सचेंज और redistribution भी एक सिस्टम था. इसको प्रीस्टेशंस कहते थे. They were not done on an individual but at a group level. रिलीजन की बात करें तो there was no temple or idol worship in the early Vedic age. The Rig Veda reflects naturalistic polytheism, but they venerated natural forces like the wind, rain, water, thunder, etc. Very few temple divinities were venerated or discovered. जो भी डेटीज इन्वोक होते थे उन सबकी लिस्ट यहाँ पे है. आप हर एक डेटी को नोट करिए, बिकॉज गिवन द नेचर ऑफ अनप्रिडिक्टेबिलिटी इन दिस एग्जाम या एनी गवर्नमेंट एग्जाम फॉर दैट मैटर, आप हर एक डेटी को नोट करिए एंड उनके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स क्या क्या रिप्रेजेंट करते थे वो सब नोट करिए. Later Vedic culture and civilization from 1000 to 500 BCE. The core geographical area of the Rig Vedic texts corresponds to eastern Afghanistan, Punjab, western UP, whereas the later Vedic text corresponds to the Kuru Panchal region, which comprised of the Indo-Gangetic Divide and Upper Ganga Valley. The term Rashtra first appeared in this period. The wars were fought for territories now, and predominantly pastoral society थी, agricultural थी. Chiefs grew at the expense of tribal peasantry and handsomely rewarded the priests who helped them in maintaining their authority. It should also be noted that even in later Vedic times, the king did not possess a standing army, and the tribal units were mustered in the times of war. Election के traces भी मिलते हैं, but hereditary kingship was emerging. The king's influence was further strengthened by the ritual enactments such as Rajsuya Yagya, Vajpaya Yagya, and Ashwamedha Yagya. Thank you for watching. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button.